Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the webinar on sourcing on GitHub. This is Anoop. I'm the co-founder and CEO of SeekOut. We have, we had over 500 registrants to this webinar, and we have only around 150, and this number is growing quite a bit. So we're gonna wait for a minute or so before we start. So one of the things I would say is that if you look at the webinar screen on the right-hand side, you have some polls, and we have 3 or 4 pre-webinar poll questions. And these will also be helpful to Susanna as she talks about, and how much emphasis she puts on the topics. So if you could go and fill those out, that would be fantastic, the poll questions. So just take a second and go ahead and do that while we see the count of registrants increase. Okay, so we will just wait a little while. Susanna has a lot of great content and insights to share. So we won't wait too long, and the others can join, and we'll be sharing the content later on too, for those who could not attend or who joined late. Means one other thing is if you're not on a Chrome browser or Firefox or Safari, the Livestone platform we are using doesn't work so well on Internet Explorer. So I recommend you join from Chrome, and we will be sending a recording at the end of the webinar and the slides that Susan has prepared. Okay, so I think we have over 175 right now. We're gonna get going. And as I said, this is Anoop. I'm co-founder and CEO of SeekOut, and welcome to the webinar. It's gonna be exciting. As all of you know, GitHub is one of the largest coder communities in the world, and where amazing talent is present. These are also the people who have terrible and sucky LinkedIn profiles. So if you just source on LinkedIn, you're not gonna get to find the best people. But GitHub was designed for collaboration and not for sourcing, and that is why it is exciting to have Susanna here. So Susanna is the head of strategic sourcing at Universal Music Group. She's a 3 times hackathon winner, the SourceCon Hackathon winner. Her session when I attended at SourceCon Talent 42 is just amazing amount of insights that are there. So if you've ever wanted to learn about GitHub and sourcing on GitHub, Susanna is the wonderful person you do want to go to, and we are blessed and lucky to have her here. So Susanna, do you want to take on and teach us how we can source GitHub?
Gosh, all right, you set me up for success, I hope. No pressure, no pressure. But yeah, it's funny that you just mentioned my session at Talent 42, and I was actually assigned the topic sourcing on GitHub, and I was like, that's freaking impossible. I don't know how to do that. So I literally had to teach myself the ins and outs of sourcing on GitHub and kind of became the expert in that field. So I actually revisited the original 1-pager that I had created for that event. And there was so much outdated material, and it's only been like 6 months. So this presentation should be relatively new tips, new tools, etc. for everyone, even if you did attend that original session. So I'm just gonna jump straight into it, and y'all feel free to please ask questions and comments along with the event today. I'm gonna be moving pretty quickly, and you will be getting the slide deck as well as a recording of this, I believe tomorrow in your email. So with that being said, all right, moving right along. So when I go about sourcing in general or on GitHub, these are my Chrome extensions that I always use. I refer to them as my permanent Chrome extensions. Really, the thing, if you are not familiar with Extensity, I highly recommend that extension above all others because it actually manages your other extensions so that you can quickly turn them on or off. Now, today we're going to be talking about sourcing, assessing, and then engaging candidates on GitHub. We're going to kick things off with sourcing. And there's a couple different ways to source within GitHub. The most easy way, I guess you would say, when you log into github.com is there's a GitHub search bar. Uh-oh. Apparently y'all can't see my slides. Can you see them now? I have a yes. Okay. Cruising back to this. 1, 2. I guess we'll just do it like this. Okay. So within the GitHub search bar, you can't unfortunately just type in like JavaScript and Seattle. There's different search operators just like there are within Google. These are my go-to search operators, and anything that you see that is green is for you all to fill in the blanks. So with this being said, all these are searching for specific users, and it's interesting because you can actually search for users who have an email. So if I were to search, for example, at gmail.com, that would populate all users that have a Gmail address associated with their GitHub. So that's just one little way to use that. Now, outside of this GitHub search bar, in using all of those different search operators, there's an advanced search as well. It's not quite as fancy, but it does do the trick. So this is GitHub Advanced Search. All of these links are clickable when you all get the bit.ly at the end of this webinar. And we will be diving into a little bit further about why do I need users with followers? Why do I want people with public repositories? What the heck is that anyway? So just hold your horses. Now, aside from GitHub Search Bar and GitHub Advanced Search, the other way to go about searching within GitHub is Google Xray search. And I have gone on ahead and spelled out this string for you right here using the cite command and then the not in URL command as well. This is pulling up only users. So nothing aside from users, such as organizations, companies, or actual code. These are actual user profiles that you're able to populate using this Xray search that I've spelled out here. Now, the other way that you can go about searching in searching in GitHub, aside from SeekOut, are these different external sites and sources. So here are a couple of different active sites that you're able to search for different GitHub users, and these are the different criteria that you're able to search for within each of these sites. I think that probably my favorite right now is going to be code statistics, and I'm not able to share my screen on there. So anyway, we're cruising right along. I'm actually going to show you a workaround when you're searching for these different sites where you can jump straight to a specific user to assess them as well. But again, these are good search sites for exclusively within GitHub. And all of these are free. I should have said that. Okay, now when we're assessing users, okay, y'all, we're not programmers. We know that Java isn't JavaScript, but they both have Java in it. And that's about as much as we probably know. But we don't have to know how to code in order to assess how good of coders GitHub users are. Now that probably sounds kind of backwards, but it is true. So a couple just quick tips when you're actually looking at somebody's user profile. On the left-hand bar of your GitHub profile, this is what this looks like. So a couple things that stand out to me are I see my avatar or my profile picture essentially, and I'm able to right-click on that image and then click search Google for image, and then that will populate similar images to that. So for example, if I were to right click on my image and then search Google for image, I would have a direct link to my LinkedIn, my Facebook, my Twitter, my website, etc. So that's a good input when you're trying to further research developers. Another thing is obviously somebody's name. Now, one of those LinkedIn, one of those Chrome extensions that I had originally, slide 2 here in case you didn't catch it, one of my permanent Chrome extensions is LinkedIn Search Tool. And if you are to highlight anybody's name and then right click, you then have the option to search LinkedIn for name. So that's a very quick shortcut to, again, just cross-reference individuals on LinkedIn. Next up, right here, I see the GitHub username. Now, again, another way to cross-reference that username to see if they're using that same name on other sites is to copy the username, open the website namecheck.com, and then paste the username and search. Aside from that, you can pull a lot of different keywords about an individual from their bio, their current company, their location, and individuals have the option to share their email or a link, as well as organizations. But going back to the link, one way that you can use a link, not only just to view the site itself, but you can actually open that link, copy and paste it into who.is, and then search. And whoever has registered that link, you'll get the contact information for them. Typically, it's an email address, sometimes a phone number as well. Aside from that, on the very bottom of your GitHub user profile on the left-hand side, you'll see organizations. And essentially, these are collaborative accounts that multiple people contribute to. So if I wanted to recruit sourcers and I were to look at my own profile and my own organization, that organization that I'm affiliated with is called Sourcers Who Code. So if I were to click into that organization, I could see the members of that group. So again, that's another way to find people as well. Now, further than that left-hand side of a user profile, you have the right-hand side. And this is where it probably looks a little wonky to you. So very quickly, high overview. You really don't have to know these. This is your cheat sheet right here. But essentially at the very top of every single GitHub profile, you'll see repositories. And repositories are project folders that house all of the code. Within the repository itself, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. So this is one repository called Awesome Recruitment. And as you can see, it's been forked from Shmila. Now, that means that Shmila is the source. She is the creator. Whereas if you look at this second repository, it does not say forked from anyone, meaning I'm the actual creator. So that's a big differentiator. Aside from that, all repositories have a brief description. You're able to see the primary language that is used throughout the project, how many people have starred this project, meaning how many people have liked it, and then how many people have forked it. That's a fork. And that means that people have essentially made a personal copy so that they can toy around with the code themselves without having to actually tweak the master code. So moving along from repositories, you then have you have stars, followers, and following. These are pretty self-explanatory. Stars, again, are likes. So given this is my GitHub user profile, you can see that I'm affiliated with 27 repositories. I've liked or starred 152 repositories. I follow 35 users and 60 users are following me. Now, typically, if you have a lot of followers, it means you have some clout. So I'm trying to target and source the developers that have a bit of a following. But more so than that, the biggest thing that I look at when I'm assessing a user profile, again, I'm going to zoom in here, is I like to look at the contributions. So a contribution is the user's activity. You can see this in a little graph here. But if you were to scroll down further, you can actually see the activity spelled out. There's 3 different types of activity. There's issues, PRs, which are also called pull requests, and then comments. 2 big things here, guys. pull request is a proposed change. So say I wanted to change something in Shmila's master code of this awesome recruitment project repository. I get the nerve to say, hey, I think I have a good tweak, a good change. I'm going to propose this. And if she is to accept my pull request, that's a big deal, especially if that particular project has a lot of stars, meaning a lot of people like it, there are a lot of eyes on it. If somebody is to merge my pull request, that is an easy in as a recruiter to compliment a developer right out of the gate. Say, congrats on your PR merge, kudos, whatever. The other thing though is comments. Now, comments are revisions. Now, as you can see here, I created one comment in one repository, and that's just kind of a sneak peek to something that I'm going to show you here in a couple of slides. It's essential to, it's a hack, let's say. All right, now very quickly, there are other ways aside from reading through somebody's actual profile to assess how good they are at coding. I don't have the right word for that, but we'll call it good. So this is the same guy, Joe Armstrong, that we had in our first opener for assessing profiles. So as you can see, he does not want a job programming JavaScript. He is one of the top JavaScript developers working today. Womp womp. Going back to his profile here, using these 3 extensions, I'm able to see that, hey, Joe is an Erlang developer, as you can see here from both the pie chart by GitHub user languages as well as OctoHR. 58% of his code is Erlang. More so than that, I'm able to take a deeper dive and actually look at his coder stats, which again is an external site. Now, speaking of those external sites that I had mentioned earlier, here is your hack to going directly to view all of the statistics and information, just a plethora of information about any user you would ever like. By the way, I'm very OCD and kind of ADD, so everything is alphabetized, not in order of preference. Now, cruising along quickly here, when you actually go about engaging these individuals, there's a couple of tricks that you might want to use. First off, you can't engage folks over GitHub. You can't send them direct messages. So here are 2 hacks, one of which I had alluded to earlier. But this URL here, api.github.com/blah, blah, blah, if you are to insert the username of an individual that you would like to find out their email address for, most of the time it will pull up their email address. Another workaround is here. It's called the .patch hack. I'm not going to walk through this for the sake of time, but again, you all will be getting, you'll be getting this slide deck. But aside from these hacks, there's plenty of Chrome extensions and external sites that will help you at least figure out somebody's email address. These are my go-to Chrome extensions for contact finding exclusively on GitHub, in junction with, again, my permanent Chrome extensions. And I had alluded to both name check and whois earlier. Now, guys, I'm sure you all are like, holy cow, who has time to freaking cross-reference and check and read and try and learn all this stuff? So, dun, 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 we have a solution, and it's called SeekOut. So I think, I can't remember who I liked or what I liked more when I first met SeekOut, if it was Anoop or if it was SeekOut. And I still don't know, because both, I have mad love for both, and you'll see why. So when you're sourcing for GitHub users, using the various techniques that we just went over, you can only search for one programming language per user. So if I were to be sourcing for an iOS developer, iOS is not a language. So I can't source for that. Or if I was to say again, looking for somebody with both JavaScript and Python experience. I can't search for both of those. I have to do 2 separate searches and then cross-reference them until now. So SeekOut has done something pretty marvelous. This slide here is just for a visual purpose only. So essentially what SeekOut has done is that they have built out SeekOut developer profiles. And that is comprehensive from LinkedIn, from GitHub, from actually looking into the insights about the code that these users have contributed, not just the projects that they have copied, because heck, that doesn't mean that they coded anything. SeekOut is actually evaluating the code that people have contributed. So they're aggregating profiles and information and creating SeekOut developer profiles. I'll zoom in on, I picked Bill because his name is Bill Mill, and I thought that was kind of funny. So good old Bill Mill here. As you can see, you have a whole lot of information on this SeekOut developer profile that isn't found on his GitHub profile. For example, you can see his education, when he got his degree, his previous experience, et cetera, et cetera. Other things you can see here are his LinkedIn URL, his GitHub URL. But more than that, this has probably caught y'all's eye, and that's the SeekOut coder scores. So SeekOut has taken the time and effort, and I wholeheartedly have confidence in their coder scores. So essentially, each developer is given a score 1 to 5, 5 being expert, 1 being not so much, or maybe just not enough data. But they evaluate these users on their ability to code using each of their different languages on that coder score 1 to 5. More so than, again, just this snippet of the coder score, experience, and education, you also have this user's top contributions, top repositories, etc. So you guys are probably like, well, why would I want to know this stuff? This does give you a glimpse into what this person does on a daily basis. But as you can see here, good old Bill Mill was #1 contributor for a particular project. So again, that's something that you might want to mention in a message to them, saying, hey, you know, you really ruling the roost on this project. Or again, don't take my advice when it comes to messaging, but these are good entry points. But more so than that, you can actually click on these links. And here's an example here, and it will send you directly to Bill Mill's code. And in turn, you can share that with your hiring team. So that's a quick hack around. Now, how do you actually go about searching on the SeekOut platform now that we've gotten a sneak peek at a profile? SeekOut has 25 plus search filters. So I'm going to zoom in here yet again. Things I really want you all to pay attention to. Here is the blind hiring mode, which you're able to toggle on or off, and that helps reduce bias and what have you. Again, we talked about the coder scores. I'm going to get into power filters here in a minute, but the other big thing I want to bring your attention to is that they have a diversity filter. This is, I mean, second to none in my opinion. The right 2 columns here probably look pretty familiar to you. And then right here in the middle is going to be filters that are more geared towards their actual GitHub behavior. Now, I alluded to power filters, but what the heck is a power filter? I'm talking so fast, guys. SeekOut has over 60 power filters for GitHub. So look at some of these. As I mentioned earlier, I was looking for an iOS developer. So I could just click iOS. Or machine learning seems to be a big buzzword today. There's a machine learning power filter. I could click that. But how accurate are these power filters? Take a look. This is a machine learning and female example. All of this on the left-hand side of our screen is what goes on behind the machine learning power filter. That's a whole lot of Boolean, guys. If you want to write out your own Boolean, have at it. Or you could use the power filters. Now, when I was searching for both machine learning using the power filter as well as diversity for females, I was able to uncover over 9,000 candidates. Now, taking a deeper look into candidates, SeekOut also provides candidate insights. So this is a search that I ran just wanting to really get a better understanding of the climate of programmers within the US. And candidate insights, they offer insights into all of these categories. Here's just a glimpse into language expertise and city that I was most curious about. So Python and JavaScript seem to be ruling the roost, and of course San Fran is a honey hole. So that being said, that's just an idea of the sort of shareable insights that you're given with any search that you are to craft within SeekOut's platform. And lastly, well, not lastly, but almost lastly, you're able to save candidates that you've come across into projects. This is an actual project that I have gone about, that I'm actively sourcing for, excuse me. So within the project itself, I'm able to save searches, search within the project. I'm able to change candidate statuses, tags, contact info, messages, etc. I can also export all of the candidates in a project, or I can even share this project with others. Now, I just cruise through that and I am at time, but Anoop and I actually have time to answer any questions that you all may have, or even walk through some examples. So here is the bit.ly to actually downloading my deck here, and other ways to find me, no pun intended. So with that being said, I'm minimizing my screen and I'm opening up chat and can't wait to hear your all's feedback. Anoop, back to you.
Thank you so much, Susanna. That was so much fun and so much information out there. So one quick thing, we do have the poll. So now all the rest of the questions, you can go and fill out those polls. We would love to get your feedback, what you liked, what else you would like to see. And then the chat is open. We will share all the slide decks and the question and answers later on. And if you have questions, let us know. We will answer.
Ooh, there's a good one. How is SeekOut licensed? What is the cost per user and seat? And Anoop, I think you had some exciting news to mention as well.
Okay. So what is, I think on the chat we will share a particular link, okay, which is seekout.io/Susanna, where you can go. And for non-enterprise customers, if you're an individual customer or a small business, you can get a 22% discount, courtesy Susanna, if you purchase before the end of the year. Anyway, you're going to see the offer there. So that is the special Susanna offer for the end of the year. So we are delighted to share that with everyone.
Anoop, I see another question that is definitely all about you. Have you noticed any limitations or restrictions in accessing GitHub now that it's officially owned by Microsoft? P.S. Anoop is a former Microsofter.
So, I spent 18 years at Microsoft before coming here and, worked closely with the senior leadership there. My feeling is that Microsoft will not touch the open source community, that they will keep it open and remain open. And if Bing and Google can access the profiles, then so can many other players, and make sure they become accessible in very interesting and unique ways to the community. So not worried about that. Any other questions coming in? Susanna, you're muted. I can't hear you. Hold on. Okay.
I think we're both trying to mute me at the same time. We had a couple of questions about the GitHub search, is it just US based or is it worldwide? And it is in fact worldwide.
Yes, it is worldwide. You can find people in Vietnam or Cambridge, England, or Singapore.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, we have 13 million candidates there. Microsoft may say 30 million or a larger number. Turns out that most of them are bots or are really empty profiles. So we save you from spending time on such profiles. What is the promo code is being asked? We will send it to you an email, and can somebody post on the chat to the promo code on the team? It'll be live in 5 minutes, actually. So the team tells me it'll be live in 5 minutes. So we will give you access to that. Yes, absolutely.
And
the question is it oriented towards high-level software languages or C++ as well? You can find all languages. So you can go to C, C++, any language that you think about that programmers use, you can find on SeekOut.
I was actually impressed by that because I live in a .NET city and GitHub is, open source, but the fact that you all are aggregating from so many different sites, it enables me to actually search for C# developers in my hometown, which is great.
So in general, the question is, can you find other tech people too? The GitHub is mostly useful for developers. That is there. There is a public profile section of SeekOut where you can get all kinds of technical product managers, solution engineers for sales. So the broader SeekOut platform, the SeekOut platform supports all kinds of roles, but the GitHub section is special for developers. Can you search big data stack skills, Hadoop, Hive, HBase? Absolutely, yes. Is there a SeekOut Chrome extension for LinkedIn? We have a general Chrome extension, but not a specific one for, there is a SeekOut Chrome extension for LinkedIn. Sorry, and it's a special one and won't get you into LinkedIn jail the way it's designed.
No, I've never gone to jail. Hey, Anoop, we have a question if we're able to search for other individuals outside of GitHub. And I just wanted to touch on the fact that, yes, you are able to cross-reference LinkedIn as well as 30 social networks. Is that right?
Yeah, 37 social networks and all these power filters that Susanna talked about, whether it is a big data or machine learning, data science, full stack, .NET, those power filters are also available on the public profiles side of SeekOut. So just click one thing and boom, we'll give you, a few 100,000 developers of that particular kind.
I'm gonna go on ahead and say it. I would rather have SeekOut than LinkedIn Recruiter, and I'm not paid to say this.
Yes, there are data scientists on the platform. Really, all roles are there. So, I've been getting lots of questions about specific roles. So if they're a developer, absolutely they're there. And even if they're non-developers on the public profile side, we support all of those different roles. You can use, the question is, can we use the 22% discount for monthly or yearly subscriptions? That's only for annual subscriptions. There's a question around Stack Overflow. We let you search Stack Overflow in our social, Google custom mentions, and we give you pointers to that, but that data is not deeply integrated into our index yet. Hey, all of the people who are asking me cost questions, I really recommend you email me or talk to me because, later on we can answer much more questions because for enterprises and different kinds of things, it varies quite a bit. So that would be a much better way to answer the cost questions.
Hey, Anoop, my old boss, Jim Allen, has a question.
Yes.
How current is the information on the candidates? Is it real time?
It is not totally real time, but we try and keep it within 3 months. Okay.
And something we haven't touched on is that you all do verify all email addresses. So you are my #1 contact finding tool as well.
So what we do, actually for GitHub, our addresses are very, very good email addresses, because we get them out of the check-ins that people make. So, these are real code that they're submitting to the rest of the project team, and we also verify them. So you'll see a solid green mark against those emails that is there. So we verify and we tell you the status right within the profile of the email. We are integrated with Greenhouse. Sorry, I'm just reading questions randomly. I'm not scanning everyone.
Loving it. Multitasking.
Yes. Okay. So, Susanna, I was thinking we are past the time. Should we say thank you to everyone? And just, we will answer questions. Susanna is wonderful. She's going to share her content, and we will answer any questions that you have in the chat and otherwise. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much, Susanna. You were just absolutely wonderful.
Thank you all so much. It was a blast.
And thank you for joining. Bye-bye.
Thank you.